At the office, Soohyeon greets his colleagues with a pleasant smile. Suddenly, a woman bursts in, urgently announcing that the boss is here. The room shifts from quiet to tense in seconds. Outside, the boss steps out of the car. Inside, employees quickly form a line. The elevator doors slide open. The sharp click of her shoes echoes across the floor. Everyone greets her in unison. With a single sweep of her gaze, she orders them to get back to work. Her eyes briefly land on Soohyeon as she instructs him to come to her office in 30 minutes. He stands frozen for a moment, caught off guard. Adjusting his tie and releasing a quiet breath, he walks to her office and knocks. He enters only after hearing her give permission. She remarks that he is right on time, her tone unreadable. Soohyeon lingers by the door, hesitant. This is his boss, Choi Jungwoo, CEO of G Cosmetics, the rising star of the domestic cosmetic industry. She is in her early 30s. She is famous for becoming a successful businesswoman at a very young age. It's partly because she was born with a silver spoon, but also because she is incredibly talented, and last but not least, she has got a nasty personality. She reminds him he missed his deadline for the report on their operating income and how she hates paying sloppy people. He apologizes, explaining he had a huge workload yesterday. That's why he was unable to submit it before the end of the day. She casually remarks everyone has work to do. He apologizes, though part of him wants to point out he was working overtime until 10 p.m. yesterday. In his experience, most executives are completely psychos, but her boss blows others out of the water. That's how she earned the nickname Satan. The newcomer laughed at first, calling them all ridiculous. But after her first meeting with the boss, she screamed that she was definitely quitting. He privately calls this place hell, but reminds himself it's a solid place to gain experience and it will look great on his resume. He was once like that girl too. To be honest, he still is, but it sucks more for him because he is that Satan's secretary. Thanks to his meticulous personality, the boss took a liking to him. So here he is, stuck in hell, burning away what's left of his youth, whether it be night, day, weekdays, or weekends. Soohyeon is 29 years old, and besides his good looks, she calls his name, complimenting him on the analysis, it was clear and neat. Just as a smile starts to form on his face, she adds, now she wants him to do the same for the men's line sales stats by the end of today. And just like that, he's reminded he's nothing more than a corporate servant after he became the boss's secretary. There hasn't been a day where he has gone home on time or spent a weekend away from the office. He starts to believe he can't keep living like this. But then, a notification pops up. G Cosmetic has deposited money into his account. Never mind what he just thought. He needs the cash. He thought the paycheck made it all worthwhile, but he was totally unaware of what was coming next. Standing before her, he asks if there is something she needs him to do. She replies casually that, of course there is. Why else would she have called him here? As she flips through the files, she suddenly declares that he's going to have to marry her. He nods in agreement and says he will get right on it. Then the realization hits him, and he blurts out, "What?" She simply stares at him without offering any explanation. He decides this place is no hell. It is worse than that. That is Choi Jungwoo's kingdom and her workplace. He once read a story when he was young. The story went like this. There once lived a pious man. One day he became stranded at sea due to a boat accident. He prayed for God to save him. Then someone in a lifeboat came to his rescue. But the man said God will save him and sent the lifeboat away. Then he was spotted by a sailing boat, but again he said that God will save him, and he sent the sailing boat away. In the end, he drowned in the sea. In heaven, he asked God why didn't he save him? The God replied he sent him a lifeboat and a sailboat, but he turned his help away. Soohyeon did not truly understand the moral of the story until 20 years later. Then she says it, plain and direct. He'll have to marry her, and then he realizes, had he kept that story at heart, and had he not turned away the chances presented to him, the Satan would have never proposed to him. He was too naive. His parents had told him he was all they had, and the future of their family depended on him. He told his parents not to worry. He's gonna go to a good college and make them proud. His family was far from rich. Every penny mattered to them. That's why going to a prestigious college and finding a good job was his lifelong dream. But he was born with a gift, his handsome looks. Someone from an entertainment agency approached him and asked him if he was interested in becoming a celebrity. His friend joked about how many times he had been scouted now. He declined each offer, claiming he wasn't interested. He just wanted to go to college. And just like that, he turned down God's help so many times. There was one thing he didn't know back then. He only realized it after he graduated and got a corporate job. The battle against poverty wasn't something he could win on his salary. He started to spend his days in bitter regret. And here he is now. He blurts out an apology and requests her to repeat that he thinks he heard it wrong. She corrects, no, he heard it right. He wonders what to do now. She has finally gone nuts. He remembers seeing this in a TV drama before, a boss asking her secretary to marry her. She demands an answer and his face goes noticeably pale. He whispers, asking if this is a joke. She got him. Unfazed, she tells him to stop wasting her time. She's a busy person. He insists she's not making any sense and asks why, of all things, he would have to marry her. She asks how old he is. He replies that he's 29. Next, she asks, is he seeing anyone? He blurts out a quick no, thinking to himself that he doesn't even have time to date, thanks to her. She flips through the papers again, and as if it's the most obvious thing in the world, asks what the issue is, then adds, just marry her. He looks visibly emotional and drained as he finally yells that marriage doesn't work like that. She frowns and questions why he's being like that. He throws back a frustrated, how could he not react this way? But she cuts him off and tells him to be quiet and listen, because this has to do with the fate of their company. She points out he is familiar with the Soohyeon trading company, right? He replies that is their partner for the North America deal. He says exactly. Then she questions if he knows who the Soohyeon CEO is and what he's like. He replies, of course, that guy is all about trust. He's also painstakingly through. He is quite famous for it. He doesn't say it out loud, but he can't help thinking he's the male version of her. She announces that he's trying to set her up with someone. He suddenly lights up, shooting her a thumbs up and saying, this could be perfect. Now she can marry that guy. He even jokes that Soohyeon's CEO must have a great eye for people. She responds with nothing more than a calm sip of her tea. But suddenly the atmosphere turns gloomy, making him wonder what the hell is going on. He becomes teary, thinking that if she wants to get married, she must already have her man. So why is she asking him? He wonders for a moment if she's joking and he just missed the punchline. But from what he knows, she's never joked with anyone. Then, without warning, she blurts out that she made a mistake, that she told him she was already engaged to someone else. That was how she turned him down. He hesitates, then asks if she really can't just tell him the truth. She snaps back immediately, reminding him that he himself said he is a painstakingly thorough man, someone who values trust above all else. She paints the picture for him, the one they both know too well, where he finds out she lied, says he can't work with someone like that, and just like that, the North America deal falls through. She tells him that if he understands now, he may be excused. Like a machine, he turns around in a daze, thinking he might actually have to marry Satan to save the company. But suddenly, he halts mid-step. No, this is completely ridiculous. He whirls around and tells her, no, he doesn't get it all. She rises abruptly, slamming her hand down and demanding, why? His voice shakes as he repeats like he said, this doesn't make any sense. She demands to know what part doesn't make sense and yells at him to come back here. But he's already rushing out the door, tossing over his shoulder, come back to reality and to stop watching TV dramas. She curses under her breath, wondering why is he refusing and why is he talking about TV. Seated at his desk, he decides that was his final wake-up call. He will not turn down God's offers to help anymore. If he has to choose between saving the company and his life, he's saving himself. The earlier events replay in his mind, and he wonders if something like this could really happen to someone. He's looked up secretary jobs, but nothing promising has come up yet. He sighs, thinking it's true. Decent jobs really are hard to find these days. All the pay offers he's getting are less than what he gets here. None of these jobs offer him any benefit other than Satan's absence. He tugs at his hair, suddenly losing his cool. Why on earth does he have to give up his perfectly good job because of Satan? Kim notices his teary eyes and asks gently, "Is everything okay?" Then, with a small smile, she adds, "Did the boss go on another rampage?" Kim Jian is the head secretary. Out of everyone in their company, she has worked with Satan the longest. He replies, "Well, kind of." Then it hits him, maybe she can help him. As they stand on the rooftop, catching a bit of air, he says he needs to ask her something. Then asks if she knows what the last TV drama Miss Choi watched was. Kim raises an eyebrow and asks why he wants to know. He replies casually that he's starting to think Miss Choi might be getting a little too obsessed with romance these days. Kim says there's no way Jungwoo watches TV dramas. She insists Miss Choi doesn't watch television at all. She doesn't find it entertaining. That makes him pause. If it's not the dramas, then maybe her problem is more serious than he thought. Kim finally asks what Miss Choi had said to him. He exhales slowly and replies, "Where does he even begin?" By the time he finishes, her face falls in disbelief. "She is gone crazy," she mutters, visibly stunned. He blurts out an agreement that it's not just him, clearly relieved. Then, with a mix of exhaustion and reassurance, he sinks to the floor, glad he brought it up. He had almost convinced himself he was the crazy one. She admits she's honestly amazed that he's managed to keep his sanity working under a boss like theirs. He sniffs and points out that she's been friends with the boss for over 10 years. How is that possible? She simply replies that the boss is an interesting person and fun to watch. He tells her she would never ask him to marry her, so he gets it. It's amusing to her. Changing the subject, she brings up Hyuno's CEO and wonders what he was thinking, trying to set Jungwoo up with someone else. Gradually, she admits Jungwoo is a bit weird too. She could have just said no. Why would she lie like that? That's so unlike her. He agrees. She basically read his mind. She tells him she likes having him on their team and can't let him quit over something like this. She decides she will have a talk with Miss Choi, which touches him deeply. He exclaims she's the best and thanks her sincerely. Later in her office, Kim asks Miss Choi if she has any plans for marriage soon. Casually, she replies that she does. She's getting married to Soohyeon. Kim questions if he's agreed to it yet. Not yet, she says. Kim then asks if they are seeing each other. She replies no. Kim presses, "Then why?" Jungwoo finally turns to her and asks what the problem is. Kim admits she's genuinely confused. He doesn't want to marry her, and she can't just drop something like that on someone out of nowhere. He had no idea it was coming. She counters, "Well, now he knows. Problem solved." Kim asks her if she has feelings for him. She looks off guard and questions, why would she? Kim insists then, why does it have to be him? Jungwoo states it's because they get along. Kim looks surprised, prompting Jungwoo to elaborate. He already knows everything about her personality, her lifestyle, her preferences. There's nothing left to teach him, and besides, he's not a moron. She adds that he's not bad-looking either, and with a slight nod, as if everything aligns perfectly in her mind, says she thinks they could live together just fine. Kim, no longer calm, points an accusatory finger at her and says that's not what people mean when they say they get along. It's him getting along with her. Jungwoo frowns and questions what the difference is, asking what more does she even need. Kim questions her. How could she be so selfish? What about what Soohyeon wants? He needs someone to satisfy his needs too. Kim admits love is not everything when it comes to marriage, but argues he needs to gain something from it too. Jungwoo rises up calmly and says she is right. She should think about this a little more. Just as Kim breathes a sigh of relief, Jungwoo abruptly announces she will be adding a few extra conditions to the contract, some that benefit him as well. Kim looks completely fed up as Jungwoo thanks her for the advice, then tells her to get back to work. Before leaving, Kim admits if it were her, she would just try meeting whoever the CEO was trying to set her up with. She is her friend, but sometimes she finds it hard to understand her. Jungwoo simply says it is okay. It's not like she has to marry her. She sighs and lets her know one last time that no matter what she suggests, Soohyeon won't agree to this. And the world doesn't work like that. She mutters, even if it was a TV drama, it would make a terrible one. Jungwoo remains standing even after she walks away, her thoughts drifting to Soohyeon's similar words. The boss hasn't called him in for 2 days. He sighs in relief, thinking it's because Kim went to talk to her, and she gave up. He smiles, thinking maybe it was a poorly timed April Fool's joke after all. Just then, the CEO's door swings open. She peeks out, flicks her finger at him, and tells him to come in. He freezes for a moment, but quickly convinces himself there's no reason to panic. He bets it is just about work. He reminds himself she is his boss, and he is her secretary. This happens all the time. There is no need to worry. If only he knew, inside he gets a contract. It's about their marriage. The conditions meet his needs as well. She instructs him to read the terms carefully and add in anything he thinks is necessary. Internally, he cries out for Kim, completely lost on what's happening. Whatever this is, it just got even more serious. She instructs him to read it carefully, reminding him that it is a marriage contract. He forces a tight smile, as though everything is under control, and replies that in that case, he will have to decline. But she merely fixes him with a cold, piercing glare and insists he read it. Her tone turns clipped as she points out how rude he is being, especially after she spent time drafting the terms. At that, he flinches. Those eyes, that satanic stare. Reluctantly, he nods and mutters that he will give it a read. She dismisses him with a curt note, telling him he can leave now. As he reaches the door, she adds, almost casually, that she believes he will change his mind once he reads it. Outside her office, his expression is nothing short of grim. He has always known she was crazy, but this crosses a whole new line. As he trudges forward, he runs into Kim and immediately launches into a frustrated tirade, saying he thought she handled the situation. He genuinely believed he was in the clear, especially since there has been complete silence for 2 days, only to be hit with a full-blown contract. Kim sighs, admitting that she suspected something like this might happen. He demands to know exactly what she said to her. She begins explaining that she told her he has nothing to gain from marrying her. But before she can finish, a passing colleague casually asks who is getting married. Without missing a beat, Kim claims it is her friend's niece. Then, leaning toward him, she whispers that they shouldn't talk about this at work. He groans in disbelief, unable to understand how she came to this conclusion. Still, he figures he'd better head back to his desk for now. Just as he is about to walk away, Kim leans in one last time and whispers that perhaps this could actually work in his favor. He could try adding completely crazy terms that don't make sense. Maybe she will call the whole thing off. With a fresh burst of confidence, he tells her she's a genius and decides to think of something totally ridiculous that she will never agree to. Settling into his chair with a sigh, he opens the contract and begins to read. Page after page, his reaction softens. This isn't actually that bad. The primary terms of the contracts are as follows. Upon officially registering their marriage, the contractor will pay the subcontractor 100 million won upfront and will pay an additional 10 million won each month. The contractor is responsible for all costs incurring from this marriage, unless there are unavoidable circumstances and both parties agree to a different arrangement. Both of them will use separate beds, and all housework will be done by hired professional staff. He catches himself thinking he doesn't mind doing a little housework only for his inner voice to snap, "What is he thinking?" and to wake up. This contract is valid for 1 year. Upon expiration, the subcontractor may decide whether to divorce or to renew the contract. This contract also guarantees that the subcontractor will not have any negative repercussions at work should they request a divorce. To sum it up, all he loses from this deal is that he has to live with the boss for at least a year and have a divorce on his record. This is all still insane, but he barely loses anything from his deal. Still, he's not sure if he can sign this, though. He wonders if he's too biased or inflexible. He looks up as Jungwoo walks in and asks if he needs more time to go over the terms. She would appreciate it if he finished before lunchtime tomorrow. He further thinks to himself, or maybe he is hesitant because he is terrified of her. When she steps back into the house, she asks the maid if anything was delivered. The maid nods, saying there's a package waiting in her room, then asks when she would like to have dinner. She says maybe a little later. Upstairs, a plain box sits on the coffee table in her room. She opens it, and there they are. She thinks so this is what they had been talking about, the TV dramas. Meanwhile, the next morning at the office, he walks in looking like a ghost. Hollow-eyed and barely functioning, he mumbles a greeting. His colleagues exchange glances. Did he not sleep at all? One of them mutters that someone should really tell Satan to stop working him into the ground. Another girl says he is handsome and all but not enough for her to risk her life to save him. He's pretty sure he hears them, but he's too tired to care. Truth is, he had spent the entire night thinking about the contract, and even now sunk into his chair, it still doesn't sit right. He tells himself he's just going to be honest with her. He's not signing. And if she insists, fine. He'll throw in something outrageous, like a 1 billion won signing bonus. That will end it. He's still convincing himself of this when he nearly jumps out of his skin. Someone tells him the boss is calling. He thinks, didn't she say he had until lunch? But heads to her office anyway. He knocks, steps inside, and without any small talk, she cuts straight to business. Asks if he's prepared for today's meeting, and reminds him to submit the report by Thursday afternoon, like it's any other day. She adds she also needs a PowerPoint presentation for the sales data on their men's line. He replies he will work on it right away. But he remains standing there, prompting her to ask if he has something to say. He admits he thought she called him in because of the contract. She reminds him she said he had until lunchtime, but if he has already decided, he can tell her now. He opens his mouth to speak, but nerves kick in. He tells himself not to panic and to just say it, reminding himself he went over the terms carefully, but his answer is still a no. Finally, he blurts out he doesn't think he can go through with it. She remains unfazed and coolly says, "All right then." His eyes go wide. He mumbles in confusion, and she repeats, "It's fine." Did not he hear her? She adds, "It is a shame, though." He is shocked. Was it that easy? Then why did he stay up all night organizing over it? She tells him he can get back to work, leaving him speechless. He is dazed and thinks that wasn't the reaction which he was expecting. He seems confused and wonders if there shouldn't be a little more resistance. He imagines in his mind that she slams her hand on the wall next to him and asks him, how much does he need? Even questioning why does he keep rejecting her? With tears in his eyes, he begs her to not do this to him, and he will tell her how much. Or what he imagines next is him sobbing and asking her, why does she keep following him? And she responds that she needs to know what he likes to eat. He responds that he just eats like every other person, and it's his private life, wishing for her to not do this to him. He stands outside the door and gets a reality check, realizing maybe it's him who is addicted to TV dramas. Kim asks him if she really just backed off like that. He asks her that it's weird, isn't it? She responds that's not like her at all, and guesses that he is quite the strategist. He asks her why is that. She tells him that he made Jungwoo give up with one move. He mentions that he didn't say anything though, he just told her that he couldn't sign the contract. She asks him if that's really true. She is aware that doesn't sound right though, and wonders if maybe she is up to something again. He asks her to not say that, stating that it's terrifying. The waiter brings out coffee as she tells him, but their buzzer didn't go off. He tells her that he can do this much for her. They both thank him, and on the way out, Soohyeon tells her that he has a feeling the guy from the cafe likes her. She tells him there's no way, and she has been a customer there for years. She mentions that it's nearly impossible, just like him liking their boss. He gets goosebumps and asks her to not make comparisons like that. Kim wonders what made Jungwoo change her mind. She sounded like she was determined to make the marriage happen. Soohyeon asks Kim to lower her voice in case someone overhears. He knows that he is kind of curious too, not that he is bummed about it. He knows that she seems so sure about this utterly crazy proposal, wondering why did she give up so easily. He wonders, what is she thinking? Meanwhile, Jungwoo tells Kim that what she presented isn't profitable and the return is too low, also stating that she saw a few episodes of some TV dramas yesterday, making Kim totally shocked and ask her why. Jungwoo responds that after she brought up the talk about marriage, she and Soohyeon both mentioned TV dramas, so she thought she'd reach her goal sooner by researching and referring to dramas. Kim is totally dumbfounded and asks, does that mean she is not going to get married? She questions why the sudden change of heart. She responds that all the characters are completely crazy. They're totally out of their minds. Kim finds it a bit weird coming from Jungwoo. Jungwoo tells her that they put in too much pointless effort. Kim asks her what does she mean by that? Jungwoo replies that she gets that money isn't a problem, but she doesn't get why they have to wait outside their love interest's house and follow them around everywhere they go. So she came to the conclusion that if that was what she needed to do to get married, then she'd rather not. Kim is very surprised by her and then asks, what is she going to tell Hyuno's CEO? Is she going to tell him the truth? She responds, of course she won't, and she'll get married, because she already has made up a plan. Soohyeon gets home and greets the empty home. Knowing it's quiet, just like always, he mentions that now that he is back in his tiny, humid room, he keeps thinking about that contract that he turned down. He begs that Satan has a dryer at her house. He tells himself that he cannot have second thoughts, because money isn't everything. But he wonders if she makes another offer, will he have to turn it down again? He then tells himself that will never happen. There's not a choice. His phone rings and it turns out it's from her, making him confused, wondering why is she calling him at this time. He picks it up and tells her that she never call at this hour. She tells him to not come to work tomorrow as he'll be working away from the office for a while. He wonders why is that the case. He asks her where he should go then. She tells him to just meet her outside his place at 10 a.m. tomorrow, as he'll need to go somewhere with her. He wonders if this is what he thinks it is. Tomorrow comes and he gets outside. He notices her car and thinks that this car is too fancy for this humble neighborhood. He wishes her good morning, but she tells him to get inside. It's an awkward situation. He gets in, and she mentions that they will be leaving right away. He puts on his seatbelt and wonders where are they going, as well as why is she so dressed up today. She looks at him as he tells himself to pretend that he didn't notice and that he should just act natural. He calls out to her and she asks him what. He states that she didn't give him any details or instructions regarding today's assignment. He wishes for her to tell him it's not what he thinks it is, that it's not a date. She mentions that she has an arranged marriage date in 30 minutes, making him confused. He's momentarily stunned when she tells him he will be working away from the office for some time. He wonders if it has begun. The millionaire's pursuit of a downtown boy's heart? He asks her where are they going today? She responds, they are going to an arranged marriage date. He is totally confused and asks, what marriage date? For her or for him? She replies it's for her, and he asks her with whom. She tells him it's Charles Stevenson. He's completely dumbfounded and asks her to repeat herself. She reminds him that he is American. He replies that's not what he meant. She looks puzzled as he starts to mention how she asked him to marry her just a few days ago, but cuts himself off when he notices the driver waiting outside. She asks him to finish what he started. She mentions that he'll tell her when they get there. He wonders what's going on, wondering if this is something like that. Deep down, he cannot understand how could she change her mind so easily. How could she do this to him? He imagines that Charles asks her who is him, and she calls out to him. Then Charles asks her, what's wrong, while calling her sweetie, and she asks him who told him she changed her mind. She mentions that she never wanted to meet Charles. Her parents insisted that she meets him, so she just came to please them, and there is only one person that she wishes to marry, and that's him. Soohyeon tells himself to get back to reality and stop with his imaginations, knowing that he has gone too far. He wonders what's wrong with him, realizing that he thinks he is going crazy for real. The driver informs them that they are here. Soohyeon asks her to stop and states that there is something that he needs to ask. He asks her with puppy eyes, why did she bring him here? She responds because he is her secretary. He tells her that he is aware of that, but she asks him, what does he mean by but? He wonders how does he not make it sound corny, knowing this is so embarrassing. He expresses that not too long ago, she asked him to marry her. She responds yes, she did, and he refused. He knows he did, so she tells him which is why they are here and asks him to listen carefully as she has got a job for him. She tells him to keep an eye on the surroundings and check if there is anyone who might recognize her as Hyuno's CEO, must not find out that she is out on an arranged marriage date. Otherwise, their entire North America deal is off the table. He is totally shattered and asks her if she wants him to be on watch. She tells him that he is the reason she is here on the first place, so he should be vigilant. He is totally shocked, asking if it's because of him, but she tells him to hurry up as they are late, and she swears that she is never lying to anyone again, as it's such a nuisance. He is dumbfounded and in denial, wondering how could she do this, even calling her cold-hearted devil. He even says that she is a heartless villain who doesn't even watch TV dramas. Charles meets her and calls her a very beautiful lady. He asks her if she's working at a cosmetic company, mentioning that it suits her image very well, stating that a beautiful lady working in a beautiful industry is just so perfect. Soohyeon is standing at his side and staring at them like a jealous character, stating that he is aware people compliment each other on dates like this. But this is too cringy, and his voice is so loud that he can hear everything. He looks at her and thinks Satan is nowhere to be seen. She is quickly just sipping tea like a lady. A woman in charge approaches him, making him flinch. He gets scared, thinking that she probably thinks he is some perverted weirdo and wonders if is she going to kick him out? He was so much into watching them that he totally forgot about himself. He asks her what is it as she questions if he is with the woman over there. Referring to Jungwoo, he responds yes he is and thinks that she probably saw him earlier and gets relieved. The woman doesn't know how to say this, but asks if she is on an arranged marriage date. She mentions that man came here earlier and she heard him talk on the phone. Not that she was trying to eavesdrop, but his voice was very loud. He responds it's all right, she should tell him and he will keep it a secret. She mentions that she thinks he is a married man who has a family back home. She asks him if Jungwoo is aware of that as well. He wonders to himself how much worse can this situation get. He doubts she would ever agree to meet with someone like this, so he pulls out his phone and starts searching, hoping to find any clue that might explain what's happening. To his utter shock, the very first image that pops up is a picture of Charles with his wife and their daughter. The sight hits him like a blow to the chest. He didn't even know Charles had a daughter. How could he have done this to Ms. Choi? From his spot, he shoots a glare at Charles, warning him to run for his life. It could be his last day on Earth. Charles excuses himself to use the restroom, and only then does she allow herself to think he talks a lot. Still, she likes that he has to travel back and forth between Korea and the US, since she would get annoyed if she saw him too often. She briefly wonders if she should just marry him. Meanwhile, Soohyeon waits outside the men's restroom. Just as Charles steps out, he freezes when a cold voice reaches his ears, saying he knows he's married and demands he leave the hotel immediately. If he doesn't, he warns, he might have to inform his family back in the States about his affair. Charles blurts out, "Who the hell is he? Has he been stalking him?" Soohyeon replies, it's none of his business. And thinking it would blow his cover if he knew he's Ms. Choi's secretary, he refuses to say more. He demands he should go to Ms. Choi and make up some excuse, say he needs to leave or that she is not his type. Standing there dazed, Charles suddenly says he gets it, raising a finger and accusing Soohyeon of being her stalker. Soohyeon jumps, shocked, and vehemently denies it, asking if he's crazy. Charles argues that a strong denial implies the opposite, accusing Soohyeon of threatening him out of fear Ms. Choi might marry him. Freaking out, Soohyeon insists he's dead wrong. Charles smirks, saying it's too bad. He thinks Ms. Choi has fallen for him. Flabbergasted, Soohyeon asks what makes him say that, insisting their boss has a heart of steel and never falls for anyone. Charles challenges him to go ahead and tell his wife if he wants. He declares his religion allows polygamy, his wife has agreed, and Ms. Choi will join their church and become his Korean wife. Soohyeon stands stunned, wondering if he heard right. Meanwhile, Jungwoo checks the time and wonders why Charles is taking so long. She had said he would be back soon. Her eyes sharpen at the thought that maybe he is suffering from digestive issues, but she quickly reminds herself it's none of her business and heads to wash her hands. Soohyeon, still in shock, points out Charles is American and that polygamy is illegal in both Korea and the US. Charles replies that his religion comes before his nation and says, no matter what he says, his plan won't work anyway. His eyes harden as he asks if Soohyeon is trying to get in his way, calling him a stalker again. Soohyeon insists he is not a stalker and has no intention of stopping Charles, but he's wrong if he thinks he can convince Ms. Choi to accept polygamy. Anger flares as Charles demands if Soohyeon just insulted their sacred, God-given doctrine. Soohyeon blurts that's not what he said and questions why Charles is rolling up his sleeves like that. Soohyeon blurts they shouldn't make things complicated when realizing he is backed into a corner. Charles raises his fist to strike. Soohyeon quickly lifts his hands to protect himself, saying he thought Charles spoke good Korean. For the last time, he insists he's not a stalker. But just then, Jungwoo grabs his hand and asks why he's beating up her secretary. Confused, Charles asks if she's talking about that stalker. In shock, he blurts out, he's her secretary? But then feigning innocence, he asks, what's that? Soohyeon's mouth drops at his audacity, telling him not to pretend he suddenly can't speak Korean. Charles asks her to let go of his hand, but she tightens her grip instead and, with a stern tone, warns him not to mess with Soohyeon. She dares him to lay a hand on him, promising he will regret it. She orders him to leave now, or she will accuse him of attempted violence. Soohyeon watches, stunned. He thought she didn't watch TV dramas, but that was impressive. She would make a perfect heroine in a romance series. Then she calls his name. He waits, anticipating some heartfelt line like, don't ever make her worry again, or she won't let anyone hurt him. But she just glares and blames him for ruining yet another chance at marriage. He cries silently inside. Turning away, she thanks God she set up another date for tomorrow and decides to head back to the office. Charles collapses to the floor, thinking if this really is a drama series, he just wants to get out of here. When Jungwoo returns to the office, Kim greets them warmly, but Jungwoo brushes off the formality, telling her to just get back to work. Kim immediately notices how exhausted Soohyeon looks, and once inside the room, Kim asks Jungwoo where she had been that morning, teasingly suggesting she'd only brought Soohyeon and wondering what they'd been up to, only to be cut off as Jungwoo quickly sets the record straight. It was an arranged marriage meeting. When Jungwoo confirms it was for herself, Kim presses for details, asking who the man was. Jungwoo replies it was someone named Charles, which shocks Kim, who demands to know who he is and who arranged the match. Jungwoo explains a marriage consultant set it up, but adds that it didn't work out. With her mouth still open in surprise, Kim suggests that Jungwoo should simply tell Hyuno's CEO she broke off the engagement and ask him to arrange another match. Jungwoo refuses, not wanting rumors to spread. Kim points out that if she keeps going on dates like this, word will get around anyway. But Jungwoo insists she's not foolish and that no one knows she's actually the CEO of G Cosmetics. Then, confidently, she mentions that Soohyeon said he would keep watch until she finds someone suitable. Kim acknowledges this quietly, inwardly feeling sorry for Soohyeon. Kim sets a cup of coffee on the table and urges Soohyeon to cheer up, though Kim herself looks like she could use some cheering up too. She knows this isn't enough and feels bad about it, but there's nothing she can do to help him. At night, lying awake in bed, he receives a message from Jungwoo. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., his place. He sighs deeply, muttering to himself if this is really what he went to college for. He wishes he'd known what he was getting into. Still, he forces himself to think positively. Maybe tomorrow will be better. Maybe she will meet someone like the male lead from a romance drama, and she will get married, and his life will return to normal. It will be a happy ending for everyone. He thinks it shouldn't take long. At least the guy tomorrow won't be a polygamist. But like they say, God has a twisted sense of humor. The next day, she meets all kinds of guys. One who's way too obsessed with her family background, another one who wants to do the whole 50-50 thing, and a third so busy he can't even give her a second. Soohyeon just watches from the sidelines with a deadpan look. Her date choices are all terrible. He sends her a text, and she tells her date that she needs to take a call but will be right back, though he doesn't even glance her way. Outside, she catches up with him and asks why he couldn't wait until the date was over. He replies that it's not like he could just go to her. Then he blurts out that he doesn't think he's the right guy for her and wonders why she doesn't try meeting someone else. She asks him why, and he points out that his eyes are glued to his phone, not paying any attention to her. That's just rude. She shoots back that she's not paying attention to him now either. He insists it's completely different. There is a terrible thing. She has poor judgment when it comes to men. Yesterday, he pointed out that the guy was calculating, more interested in her wealth than in her. But she brushed it off, saying money mattered, and those kinds of questions were normal. He argued that maybe so, but not on a first date. The day before, he pointed out the guy made her pay for an overpriced coffee, while he only offered to buy her cheap fast food. She simply replied she was rich, but he insisted that wasn't the point. And now today, she was back at it, saying she liked people who were dedicated to their work. According to her, it was a good trait. He has no idea what her thoughts on marriage are, but this is definitely the perfect recipe for a disaster. He tries to make her see reason, pointing out that the guy lacks even basic manners. But mid-sentence, he freezes as she suddenly leans in closer, his heartbeat quickening. In a low voice, she tells him she gave him one simple job, and she's starting to think he didn't quite understand her instructions. She reminds him that his role is to be on watch, not to judge her dates. He swallows hard, struggling to respond. He's just worried about her. He also wants to point out he never signed up for this. He is not some kind of security guard. He is the secretary. His job is to assist in business-related matters. She turns around after asking if she made herself clear, leaving him standing there, seething with anger. He doesn't voice out his thoughts, because if he tells her, she will throw a fit, and honestly, he's too scared. But there's one thing he doesn't understand. Why is his heart beating so fast? Is it because he's intimidated by her? She returns to her seat and offers him a quick apology. Her date, barely glancing up, simply says, "Oh, she is back. Hold on. He is in the middle of something." That's when it really sinks in. He's kind of rude. Maybe Soohyeon was right after all. Later that night, back at his place, Soohyeon finally sends in his resume. He has decided he cannot live like this any longer. He should find a job where he's treated with respect. The pay comes after that. He scrolls down and clicks Submit Application, certain that the right job is out there waiting for him. At this point, he cannot even remember how many times he has gone with Miss Choi to a date. He glances at his watch, thinking this one is taking forever. He asks himself if he really has to be here. What a waste of time. This seems totally unnecessary. Nobody in their industry seems to be here anyway. He grumbles to himself. Why would anyone be here in the first place? Everyone is at work, and his choice is too full of herself sometimes. But then his phone rings. He pulls it out, realizing he forgot to put it on silent. At that moment, his eyes catch a new message. It's from the company he sent his application to. They say they've received his resume and would like to get to know him better. Just then, Jungwoo returns from his date and rejoins him. She calls out to him, and he glances over with wide, unblinking eyes, prompting her to ask if something happened. He flashes a big smile and replies, "Not at all." As they walk toward the car, Jungwoo suddenly asks him what he thinks of her date today. Caught off guard, he looks at her in surprise, wondering why she's asking him that. She explains it's because she thinks he has good judgment when it comes to people. He blurts out that she's the one who told him last time that judging her dates wasn't part of his job, so he didn't really pay attention. She gives a casual shrug and replies, "Really?" That's too bad. Then, turning around, she adds that he's very good at following instructions. He furrows his brow, confused. Was that sarcasm? What's gotten into her? Once in the car, he casually mentions that he will be taking next Monday off, so if she has a date planned, she will need to take someone else. But as soon as he says it, panic flickers across his face. What if she asks why? Should he say it's a checkup? That his parents are sick? What would be believable? But she simply says, that's great. She was planning to give him a day off anyway. Seeing his surprised expression, she adds, he has been looking tired lately. Everyone needs a break now and then. He wouldn't want to burn himself out. He offers her a polite thank you, but cannot help thinking what's on her mind. She has never said anything vaguely caring like that before. Later, he wonders if someone told her that he was looking for a new job. Why is she going easy on him all of a sudden? Or did she install a secret monitoring program on his computer? But then a part of himself wonders maybe she values him as an employee. But just as that thought crosses his mind, he quickly pushes it aside, telling himself to wake up. He knows that's not the case. Determined, he decides he needs to get out of this company as soon as possible. Standing in front of the mirror, he tells himself today is the day. He fixes his hair and grins, remarking how great he looks. It's amazing what a good night's sleep before 10 can do. He thinks the company can't say no to a candidate like him. Besides, he has worked under Satan for years. Interviews don't scare him one bit. Today, he's leaving that hell behind and stepping into a better life. During the interview, the interviewer suddenly asks if he can handle his liquor. Taken off guard, he looks confused, so the interviewer explains they assumed he was quite the playboy in his younger days. He replies not at all. The other interviewer chuckles and says not to be shy. He is sure the ladies loved him. He trails off, unsure how to respond, wondering why they keep asking questions like that instead of focusing on his work experience. Finally, they ask if he currently works at G Cosmetics and acknowledge it's a great company, maybe even better than theirs. So why does he want to leave? He answers that he loves G Cosmetics, but wants to gain a variety of work experiences while he's still young. The interviewer calls it a boring, textbook answer and urges him to be honest. Then they ask if he's the secretary for that lady, well known for her nasty personality. They joke that the mad spinster probably scared him off. He wonders if she had hit on him. Otherwise, why would he even consider this job when it pays less? They all laugh and tell him to spare them the details. He becomes completely quiet, thinking to himself, it is true that Miss Choi is not an easy person to work for. She is a little crazy sometimes. Crazy to the point of asking her secretary to marry her out of the blue. But then his mind shifts to how she defended him in front of Charles, warning him not to lay a hand on him or else he would regret it. He decides she is better than this trashy lot. Apologizing, he gets up and says he would like his interview to end here. He doesn't think he's a good fit for this company. Standing outside, he is struck with shock, unable to believe he just stormed out in the middle of the interview. On top of that, he did not make it sound cool at all. Something like this company was below his standards, and he couldn't waste his time here. But instead, he was a shaking mess as he told them he was not a good fit for this company. He thinks that was so lame, he bets he gives them a good laugh. He admits he couldn't take it and hated it when they talked trash about her, but now he finds himself questioning why. He doesn't like her either, so what is wrong with him? With his head dropped low, he trudges forward, thinking he's doomed. He blew that interview. He's never getting a job in that industry anymore. He decides to go home, wanting to forget about this. He will take a nap and think about what to do next. Kim is surprised that Soohyeon is taking a day off. That's not like him at all. He has never seen him take leave. She wonders what's up. Jungwoo says he's probably resting. He has been looking exhausted lately. Kim blames her for it. She's the one who put him through so much recently. However, she still finds it odd. Soohyeon never takes a day off just to rest. He's the type to cash in his unused vacation days. She says maybe it's something important. Jungwoo asks, like what? She begins laughing and says, perhaps a job interview. Kim asserts that could totally be it. Jungwoo remarks that she doesn't understand why that's supposed to be funny. With a measured calm, she turns back to her food, hiding any reaction, and casually mentions that the pay here is actually quite good. Kim agrees, acknowledging the salary is definitely not the issue. If anything, the problem lies with her. She insists she doesn't buy the idea that he would never do something like that. At that moment, a colleague appears, quietly letting Jungwoo know she has been looking for her. After a brief apology, she leans in to whisper something. Jungwoo's expression hardens as she reveals that he actually did it. Kim is taken aback. She had only been half joking before. And then it hits her. Jungwoo has been called for a reference check. Shock floods her as she thought they were close and can't believe he never mentioned any of this to her. Jungwoo adds that she was even planning to increase his salary next year, but Kim tells her it's too late now. She should have treated him better. Almost at dawn, he wakes up wondering how long he has been asleep. Glancing at his phone, he notices 11 recent missed calls. Suddenly alert, a bad feeling washes over him as he sees the calls are from her mother. She demands to know why he hasn't answered and explains it's about his father. He's in serious trouble. Later, sitting alone in his dark room, curled up against the walls, he recalls the earlier call with his mother. His mother explained that his father invested everything they had in something called virtual coins, only to lose it all. Now they might have to sell their house. His mother also revealed that his father withdrew all their savings and even took out a loan, and they are now receiving threatening calls from loan sharks who say they will track them down. She breaks down, crying out that ever since she met his father, her life has been spiraling downhill, and she can't take it anymore. He had told her to calm down and asked how much they owed, promising he would try his best. But when she told him the real amount, he fell silent, overwhelmed. But now, in the darkness of his room, he wails his eyes out, realizing this is beyond his control. There's no way he can earn that much money. He wonders what the world has against him, what he has done wrong, knowing he gave it his all. Even if he quit his job tomorrow, the severance pay won't be enough to cover the debt. He contemplates whether he should take out a bank loan and work 2 or even 3 jobs to pay it off. The next day, as Jungwoo prepares for the office, her mind keeps drifting back to Soohyeon, taking a day off for a job interview at another company. Even once at work, she can't shake the thought. She wonders if this really means he didn't like working here after all. How else could she interpret it? She forces herself to stay calm, deciding that if leaving is what he wants, she should let him go. After all, work is work, and personal feelings must be left outside the door. Yet the thought lingers that she believed they had good chemistry working together, which now feels like such a shame. Suddenly, a knock at the door interrupts her. Soohyeon peeks in hesitantly and says there's something he wants to discuss with her. She looks at him surprised, assuming he's leaving sooner than expected. She tells him he has done a lot for them during his time here. He's stunned into silence, then asks hesitantly if he's being fired. She counters by asking if he didn't come here to quit. He blurts out that no, that's not the case. Surprised, she presses for what it is then. Clenching his fists, he steels himself to just say it. It's his last chance and suddenly blurts out, can he still marry her?